Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to our Bhagavad Gita series of 2023. So we are going to start a brand new chapter today, chapter 9. And before we start, let us recite the prayers which are given in the beginning of the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. So these prayers help us to understand the topics of Bhagavad Gita better, more nicely. And today we will see what's the importance of, or how to understand the Bhagavad Gita, or what stops us from, quote unquote, getting the Bhagavad Gita. So I will share my screen and we will go through the prayers. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So, is the screen sharing visible? Okay, great. So this is our vedabase website, vedabase.io or vedabase.com, which brings you to vedabase.io. Within that, the first book is Bhagavad Gita. So we click on that and we go to the introduction, which is where we will find these prayers. Om Ajnanitimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, we are going to start a brand new chapter today, and the most important chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. So please pay very, very, very careful attention. And I want to take it, we'll go fast, but in previous, the big size sessions, sort of, we used to cover chapter 9, maybe in 4, 5, 6 sessions. My goal is to complete it in 2 sessions. So we will go at pretty good speed, but please pay very careful attention and ask a lot of questions. This chapter will really help us to understand what are the things that cause us to not truly understand or apply the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita in our life, and how to apply the teachings, how to really follow or practice the Bhagavad Gita in our life. So very, very practical chapter, and at the same time, sort of I would say a little bit of a hard-hitting chapter. So be ready for a roller coaster. And and you will understand. So let us start by, I'll share the screen here. Show play from cards. Okay. So the chapter is called The Most Confidential Knowledge, or we will see this word confidential at least at two places in the very beginning of the chapter itself. So I hope all of you, first of all, have your Bhagavad Gitas with you. So the Bhagavad Gita should be with you in your hands, whether it's on an electronic device or a paper copy, either is okay. Paper copy is better. You don't get any pop-ups on a paper copy, and then you don't switch to Facebook or WhatsApp to respond. So it's kind of, keeps you focused. But please have the Bhagavad Gita handy while we discuss. Okay. So, like we had discussed, chapters 7, 8, and 9, the general theme of chapter 9 is just bhakti. Bhakti times bhakti, bhakti squared. 7th chapter onwards is all about bhakti, but it is about bhakti jnana, who is God. We covered that, and how to remember God, how to meditate on God. That is what we covered in chapter 8, and the most important part is to meditate on him at the time of our death. And if we don't do a lifelong practice of remembering him, it's not possible to hit a home run or a sixer, as we call in cricket, on the last ball of the match. So we have to put in the practice. And chapter 9 is about bhakti and bhakti, also known as Shuddha Bhakti or Kevala Bhakti. Exclusive Shuddha, pure, Shuddha means pure bhakti to Bhagavan. So that is what the 9th chapter is all about. And it is the most important chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Please pay full attention, absolute full attention on this chapter, okay? So, ready? Shall we start? So we are right in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. This is 18 divided by 2, 9th chapter. Okay, and we are in the core, the heart of the Bhagavad Gita. So that day has come, which we were all waiting for, where we get to understand the real essence of Bhagavad Gita. This is the essence, and it will continue into chapter 10 for the first 11 verses. Okay, so chapter 9 and the first 11 verses of chapter 10 are really the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So please pay very careful attention for the next few, classes, 2 classes, I would say 2 or 2.5. By the way, next Sunday, most likely there will not be a class. And the following Sunday also, there will not be a class. So we'll take a 2-week break. I'll announce about next Sunday. Okay. So, but please pay attention on the announcements. All right, ready to go into chapter 9? Okay, very nice. So, chapter 9. So the first verse, idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anusuyave jnana vijnana sahitam yad gyatva mokshashe shubhat. So shubhat means it's not shubha, it's mokshashe shubhat, means it's a shubhat. That's how the Sanskrit is there, mokshashe shubhat. I'll come to all those things. But first of all, right away you can see idam tu te guhyatamam. Idam, this knowledge, is guhyatamam. Guhya means confidential or secret. Tamam means the most. Guhya, guhyatara, guhyatama. Okay. So tama means the most of something, good, better, best. This is the most confidential. Idam tute guhyatamam. Pravakshami anusuyave. So before that, why is it confidential? Why is it confidential? It's all available on an open website, isn't it? And we will discuss more in the third verse. But the point is, Pravakshami anusuyave. Anusuyave, what is the meaning of anusuyave? Look in your Bhagavad Gitas. Non-envious. Do you see that? In the word by word meaning, in the synonyms. So we need to be non-envious. We need to keep our egos aside. We are talking about God. Okay? Literally, we are talking about God. And you will see, and I would like you to even pause and think, it is extremely hard for us to accept anyone's superiority. Anyone's. Okay? The only thing that causes us to accept someone's superiority is love. Think about it. A child may accept a father's superiority. My dad is great because of his love towards the father. Anybody else whom we don't have that relationship of love, you'll say, "Acha, dekh lenge. I'll see. I'll surpass you one day. One day I will." Or, okay, one day you will fall down. You think you're great? I'll wait. Time is the winner. When you fall down, then it will be proven whether you were so great. I may not become that great, but you will fall down. What is all this conversation? One day I will surpass you, or I will wait for the day when you will fall down. Or at best, there is indifference. Okay, you may be great in your area, I am great in my area. Even I'm in this small house, I'm great. Self-made. You may be living in the White House. That's okay. I'm living in this is my little White House. Get out of my, face. I don't need you. What is all this? Ego. Okay. And that is what we need to keep aside. Otherwise, we will never be able to accept God as God. And this whole conversation will go on for the next 12 verses up to 9.12. Please be very careful. So we must understand who is God. And only with love, we will be able to accept his greatness. Just like a small child, very easily, whether his father may be a Bill Gates or his father may be an ordinary man, an ordinary farmer. For a small child, his father is always great. My dad is the best. So that is why Pravakshami Anusuyave. This knowledge is, I'm speaking to you because you are non-envious. You don't have any ego towards me, Arjuna. Okay. So that is very, very important. And little more about this will come in the third verse. So we need to put our egos aside and put our trust in Krishna's words. Okay, full trust in Krishna's words. Otherwise, we will not understand. So, it will remain otherwise a mystery, a myth. Okay, he may be talking, every great man who thinks he's great talks. Every president of United States has a history of writing a book after his presidency. Everyone. If you ask any president after they, what are you going to do next? Oh, I'm going to write a book, memoirs, right? So it's like oh, he has written this is Krishna's book. He thinks he's God. Now he has written a book, which we are supposed to read with a lot of awe and reverence. And he's just so many books I have seen. It's like we try to brush it off. One more book. So all these things are the ones that prevent us from putting our full trust in Krishna. So did you get a sense of it? Next point, Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. This knowledge of chapter 9 is Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. It has theory and application, practical aspects, both. Vijnana, you understand, we had discussed this in 7th chapter. The mathematics is like theory. There's no lab. Have you ever had lab classes of math? No. In science, do you have lab classes? Yes. But math is necessary to understand science, right? A theory is important to understand practice. Otherwise, practical won't make sense. And theory means it will remain theoretical. It will not cause a change in your life. To cause a change in your life, you have to practice it. Only then it will cause a change. Okay? Otherwise, you will become like a fat doctor who is a health consultant, but he himself is 300 pounds. So he knows all the theory. He can tell you what to eat, what not to eat, but he is himself, obese and diabetic. So you want to be that, or you want to be a, walk your talk person. So this chapter contains both Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. And Yad Gyatva, this word is very, very important. Yad Gyatva, this knowledge and its application. It's not just Yad Gyatva means knowing this. A simple translation could mean, could be misunderstood as just knowing. Okay, I read the 9th chapter, now I know it. Give me a test, I'll pass it. Yes, all that is one level of knowing. Knowing means knowing it in your bones, knowing it with conviction, and that comes with practice. If somebody challenges you, and if you just know it without practicing it, you will fall. You will be easily defeated. So conviction, knowing with conviction is the real knowing. Okay? That is why, in companies also they value experience, not just knowledge. A college graduate may have more knowledge than an experienced person because he knows everything fresh. But experienced person gets paid more. And he can tell you, even though the book says this, really this is what works, or this is how you should make it work. Experience teaches a lot. So that is the meaning of Gyatva. Yad Gyatva. Don't think that just by reading 9th chapter, Mokshashe, I'll get moksha. It's not that cheap. It's not that easy. Yad Gyatva Mokshashe Ashubhat. So one gets moksha from everything that is Ashubha. Ashubha means not one meaning of Ashubha means this material world. It has some joy, some sorrow. That is Ashubha aspect. But also within this material world, within this life also, you will see relief, moksha. Moksha means relief or liberation or, getting rid of something. So not only in the next life, you'll get rid of this entire material world. In this life, you will get rid of suffering. So it's not just a promise about next life. It is even in this life, mokshashe, everything ashubha in this life, which is like suffering is ashubha. You consider it ashubha. Why am I suffering? And whatever else, I'm just giving that one example. Many, many other, anything that is troubling to the heart, to your heart, which appears ashubha, will be destroyed if you practice it properly. Vijnana. Vijnana and Yad Gyatva. Gyatva means not knowing, knowing it in your bones. And that comes with practice. Please understand this carefully, because many of you, oh yeah, I attended the class. Yeah, it was nice class. Life is back to normal. That would be such a waste. So don't let that happen for your own good. All I can do is say, I feel like I should somehow open up all your brains and pour it in, but this is all I can do. Just say it repeatedly again and again and again. Okay, next verse. Very, very important verse. before Lord Krishna begins to speak the 9th chapter, he talks about the significance of the 9th chapter. You're following? So this 9th chapter is many, many things. What is this 9th chapter? Raj vidya, Raj guhyam, pavitram, idam uttamam, pratyaksha avagamam, dharmyam, sukham, kartum, avyayam. Each word pretty much is an adjective which is describing this knowledge of the 9th chapter. So let's see what it is. Raj vidya, it's the king of knowledge. There is no knowledge superior to this in entire existence. That is this is the crown jewel. Bhagavad Gita itself is the crown jewel of all knowledge. 9th chapter is the crown jewel of the crown of this Bhagavad Gita. This is the most important knowledge present in this universe. Raj vidya. Again, second occurrence, Raj guhyam. Same thing as guhyatamam. Okay, whether you call it Raj means the biggest or the greatest. So it is the most confidential. Pavitram, it is most pure. Now the word Raj applies to all these things. Raj vidya, Raj guhyam, twice Lord Krishna has used that. It applies to all of these. Uttamam, pavitram, idam, this knowledge, idam. So this idam is also applying to this entire knowledge, is uttamam, it's the topmost, uttama. Pratyaksha avagamam, very, very important. You can experience it directly in your life right now, in this life, not about next life. Nobody has seen whatever, you cannot see, you cannot tell your family members, please tell me, send me a text message, what happened to me after death. There's no way to let you know. There is no way for them to communicate with you once you're dead. All the bodily connections are all gone. Okay. But in this life, so it's not just about next life. In this life, you can experience the truth of this knowledge. You can absolutely experience it if you apply it properly. Okay, you will get very, very strong. Wherever you apply it properly, you will get strong results, strong signals. Okay, like if you conduct a chemistry experiment properly, and if it says the color should turn from green to blue, it will turn blue. Litmus paper will turn blue. If you don't conduct it properly, then you dip the litmus paper, oh, no change. Either the theory is wrong, or the litmus paper is wrong, or something is wrong. I was right. That should not be our feeling. So if you apply it properly, it will produce results. Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means it is evident. It is in front of you to, see or experience. Dharmyam. It is based on dharma. This is dharma. There is no other book of dharma. Whatever is in the Bhagavad Gita is dharma. It's not aligned, it's not misaligned with any other dharma. Oh, that says that book says that, the Vedas say this, Bhagavad Gita says this. What am I supposed to follow? So many different conflicting instructions I am getting. No, this is dharma. Follow this. And sukham. And it's not like you have to go in the forest and stand on one leg and stop your breathing and, nothing like that. It's very joyfully and happily applied in your life. Very, very happily applied. It's not a stressful process at all. Okay. Very happily it can be applied. And it is eternal. Its application leads to eternality. The knowledge itself is eternal. Avyayam. It's not meant for 5,000 years ago. Oh, Bhagavad Gita was meant for that age. Today's Bhagavad Gita is rich dad, poor dad, or how to get rich. That is today's Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita is meant for old people or for that different age, not meant for 21st century. Not like that. It is avyayam, means it is eternal. It's applicable in all ages, in all universes. Okay. So these are some of the characteristics. Now, again, you might be thinking, this guy is speaking too much. or Krishna is speaking too much. What is that a result of? Yes. So if that is coming up in your mind, why is this guy speaking too much? It's just over glorification. Everything has over glorification. If you do this, you will get this, you will get this. Too much is all marketing. All product manuals start with first page is marketing talk. So like that, if you are thinking and if you're applying that material vision or lens to Bhagavad Gita, then this will remain a closed book. That is why it is confidential. So that we are going to cover in the next slide. Verse number 3. So why is it confidential? Because of ashraddhadhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu sansara vartmani. First hard-hitting verse of the chapter. Okay, this is the first hard-hitting verse. So one can ask the question, if this knowledge is so wonderful, so easy, uttamam, sukham, gives moksha, everything is so good about it. It's like, too good to be true. If it is all so good, why isn't everyone a Krishna Bhakta in this world? Why are we even talking about it? Okay. Because people have not put their egos aside and they have no faith or trust in Krishna's words. They treat this to be simply marketing talk. I'll stop for 1 minute. And you don't have to answer to me. You don't have to raise your hands. I'm not even going to ask to raise your hands. Just in your own minds, please truly think, ask your mind. Mind is that little guy who is talking in your brain. Oh, I'm uncomfortable in my chair. Oh, what's the time? That's the mind. Whoever is talking all these things is your mind. What is he going to say next? Or anything like that. Is prasadam ready for those in person? What is there to eat? All these conversations are coming from the guy called mind. Ask that mind what it is saying. Review. I'll stop blabbering. I have a habit of talking too much. So I'll stop. Think about what we just discussed about keeping your ego aside, and this knowledge is, I'll display this slide, is all these wonderful things, so-called marketing slide. Inquire in your heart how much of it is appearing to be a little bit marketing-ish. It's like too much over glorification. Think about it in your heart and answer to yourself. In the case of a bhakta, the answer should be 0. He should feel it in his bones that this is true. If you have little bit of tinge, this is over exaggeration. To that extent, you have some work to do. I'll stop talking and give you a minute. Don't think about anything else, huh? Think about this question. How much of it appears to be over exaggeration? Okay, so we will continue. You got whatever you got. Okay, and you can hopefully realize if your answer was not a perfect 0, full faith, then you have some work to do. Otherwise, you should easily be able to start following Krishna's instructions. Okay, because people have no faith in Krishna's words, therefore they are not a Krishna Bhakta yet. And that is what makes it confidential. For everybody whose answer was not a perfect 0, this knowledge is confidential. What we call as an open secret. It may be openly available, but it is not accessible to you to its fullest extent. It will not produce the results or the benefits. Okay. Sri Vishvanatha Chakravarthy Thakura, a great acharya in our line of parampara, Guru parampara, calls this artha, means exaggeration. So I kind of already conveyed it, but some key points I want you to take home. So I will read it one by one. First, we covered Krishna is doing self-promotion. Oh, you must listen to me. You must listen to me. I will solve all your problems. Sound like a presidential election speech, isn't it? Mehengai kam karo, garibi hatao, all those things we have seen so much. And another way of thinking is, yes, I have faith in this. Please think carefully. Okay, you may be in any of these places. I'm not speaking too much. I really want people to get it. Oh, he's going to say too much, or he's saying too much, so that we can do at least a little. So really what we should be doing is just a little bit. That's enough. That's your interpretation. Okay. So, like father tells the child, every time you cross the road, 3 times you have to look this side, that side. Oh, why 3 times? Just I'll look 1 time and I'll just cross. 3 times is just so that at least I do 1 time. Okay, in father's case, that may be true, but that is not true in Bhagavad Gita's case. We have to apply it fully. Krishna is not just over exaggerating so that you do a little bit of it. Or you'll say, I know better. He is saying all this. I have heard so many other things over here. I will just manufacture my own process. I'll take some good points, whatever I like. I will construct my own manual. Okay. I will take whatever are the good points. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Wonderful class. Thank you. And you go home. I'll do this. I'll make my own recipe. So all this will be there. And my process, whatever I cook up, is pretty good. I am pretty sure it will work. Okay. Then you can go with your own convictions. You're not going with Krishna's words. You're going with your own thing. And whatever the results will also be your own. It wouldn't be Krishna's promise. So if you do any of those things, now Krishna says a very hard-hitting thing. What happens to them? What do such people attain? Aprapya mam. First of all, they don't attain me. Aprapya mam. Okay. And where do they remain? Nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. They remain in this mrityu samsara. Keep going through the cycle. Too bad. But that is the outcome. Okay. So if you are doing all or any of these things, it will remain, this knowledge will remain confidential for you. Are you following? Clear, everybody? To some extent? Okay, very good. So most people, our topmost acharyas, say that the biggest problem is this one. Some people may say, hell with Krishna, who's all this nonsense? There are very few people in that category, like complete atheists or somebody. Most people are, God. Okay, God, Bhagwan. But they are in the category of manufacturing their own. I understand Bhagavad Gita. I understand Krishna. I understand it. Truly, I do understand him. Yes, please believe me, I do get it. And my understanding is really what he's saying is this, that manufacturing your own little subset, your own recipe. I really have figured him out. I know what he's saying. Don't have to repeat so much. Thank you. Please don't tell me so much. I know what he's saying. I figured him out. Believe me, I know him. What he's really saying is this. In the very next verse, Krishna says, I am impossible to understand. Don't think you can figure me out. You can never figure me out. Some of this may sound like, okay, I got it. Don't say so much. You are over talking. Stop. I got it. I know what Krishna means. No, you don't. You can never know what Krishna means fully. Never. Krishna is full of paradoxes. Full of paradoxes. Okay? Just in this verse, 9.4, we won't go. These are some of the most complex verses of Bhagavad Gita because they are paradoxical. Okay? So let me pick on somebody. Yes, Prabhuji, you. Are you inside the room right now?
Yeah.
So which means this room is inside you or outside you?
Outside.
So the room is outside you.
Yeah.
You are inside the room. Correct? Are you following? Is the room inside you?
No.
No. Correct? So you are inside the room, but the room is not inside you. Can both happen simultaneously? Let's say we talk about somehow I'm able to shrink this room completely small to a tiny level and you eat it. Let us say, will that room be inside you then?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But can you be inside that room at that time?
No.
No. So my point is either you can be inside this room or this room can be inside you. Correct? Are you following?
Mm-hmm.
But can both happen simultaneously?
No.
At the same time? No. Correct? Would that be a paradox? Thank you. That's exactly what Krishna is saying here. Let us see. 9.4 and 9.5. He says this matsthani sarva bhutani. Okay, matsthani, in me sarva bhutani. Look at the last line, the third line of 9.4. Matsthani sarva bhutani. Na chaham teshu avasthitaha. Do you see that? Matsthani sarva bhutani. In me everything is present. Correct? What is the first line of 5th verse? Na cha matsthani bhutani. He has taken the same phrase and added a na to it. Isn't it? Huh? Tell me. Is x equal to not? In computer science, we say not, right? There's a not. Not means with an exclamation. At least in C language, we use not, right? Can x ever be equal to not x? Huh? Can 1 ever be equal to 0? The fundamental, binary, these are the two distinct binary states. A bit can be 0 or 1. Now, we are not talking about quantum bits and qubits and all. So that's actually a nice analogy here. We'll talk about it. Quantum mechanics. But anyway, that's exactly what Krishna is saying. Do you see the paradox? Matsthani sarva bhutani, in 4th verse, he says. In the very 5th next verse, he says, na cha matsthani bhutani. What the hell is going on? Is it this or that? You following? But what does he say very next line? Pashyame yogam aishwaram. Okay. So, Pashyame yogam aishwaram. Just see my yoga Ishwar. I am my yoga. I am the Lord Ishwar of all mystic yoga. I can make anything happen. I can be inside the room and outside the room at the same time. You following? Are you following? And the understanding is that his bhakta has no desire to figure out Krishna. I will figure out on my own. There is no such desire. Like a small child, he may have a great father. He knows my father is great and he's happy with that. He doesn't know his bank balance, or he doesn't know that, how he is so great or whatever. He's just happy. Oh, I have a great father. I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. Okay. He doesn't start doing a PhD on his father. No point. So my devotees, Mama Atma Bhuta Bhavanaha means that Bhuta Bhavana, I am the protector, maintainer of all the living entities. And my devotees are just happy with that, knowing me fully that they have a father who is very loving and protecting and caring. They're happy with that. They don't want to figure it out. Okay. So they are just in bliss, knowing that they have a wonderful father, Krishna, who is their protector. Are you following?
So they're not able to figure him out because
on their own, because it's not possible for them to figure him out.
Maya? I mean, is that
No, the answer is very simple. Bhagavan is infinite. In one sense, he is infinite, yes?
Yeah.
Otherwise, who would be bigger, Bhagavan or the concept of infinity? Bhagavan is infinite. We are finite. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Can the finite ever fit infinite in its boundary? Can it? No. That's the fundamental problem. We are finite. So we can never figure out Bhagavan fully. We can figure out, that's why the word fully is very important here. Fully. And that too on our own. Bhagavan can come and tell us about him, whatever little he would like us to know. The child might say, my friends tell me, to his father, the child might say, all my friends tell me your dad is so great. What is so great about your dad? Dad will say, okay, I have a big factory, a big, whatever this. Can you show me your factory? Oh, it's like all over the country, where do you want to go? Oh, let's go to the factory in Portland. Okay, we'll take you to the factory in Portland. He'll go and take and show him whatever, then the child says, oh, I'm tired. Now I want to go home. Okay, fine. The child is finite. He doesn't have the energy to go through all the, oh, I'm tired. Very nice, very nice. Thank you, thank you. Let's go home and have some ice cream. Dad, what will dad say? Okay, fine. So whatever the child asks, the father tells. Arjuna is asking so many questions to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is patiently answering. Srimad Bhagavatam, so many devotees ask Krishna so many nice questions and Krishna patiently answers. So you ask and Krishna will answer if you are a devotee. If you are a nice, loving child, father will answer your questions. But your father is so great that being a small child, you cannot understand on your own fully. You have to depend on the father to tell you about him, his greatness or his whatever. And he will only be able to tell you to the small child because the child is a child. If the child starts asking, how does this engine work? How does all this? You don't understand the ABC. How are you going to understand all that? Okay. So we should act like, or we should be loving children. We should not try to become God. That is our fundamental ego. Same thing. One day I'll show you. I will become like you. I will surpass you. That's exactly the demoniac nature. What did Hiranyakashyap or Ravana think? Same mentality. One day I will kill Rama. Who is this Rama? I'll abduct his wife. If he comes, I'm going to finish him. That's exactly what Hiranyakashyap. This is exactly the demoniac mentality. There is historical evidence of this. Okay. So some of Krishna's paradoxes. Let's look at those. Okay. Not just Krishna, all the avatars and all. And what happens from paradoxes? Paradoxes lead to doubts. That is the problem. Now, this paradox I gave inside the room, outside is very theoretical. But that was the literal meaning of this one. Matsthani sarva bhutani and nacha matsthani bhutani. That's just literal. In me, everything is there. And then not in me, everything is there. Wait, which one? So that's just a very literal paradox. Let us look at some real paradoxes of Krishna and think about it. And so many people in all these classes and all, have told me these ones. They have literally come and told me these. There are living people. I know the names behind each people who has come and told me this. The exercise for you to think is, are you one of those? To that extent, you will doubt that paradox exists in your mind. First and most glaring one. On one hand, Krishna is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita. Asatyam, Shaucham, Ahimsa. And what was that fellow doing when he was young? He was chasing around girls. How does that make sense? You following? Oh, he had a loose character. How can a loose character person speak such high philosophy? Then it's just lip service, like politician. Politicians also do all these nice speeches, and if you go behind the scenes, they do all crazy stuff, isn't it? Then you have a big scandal. Correct? So Krishna is just a politician. That's a doubt. Why should you listen to a politician? Now, there are perfect answers to all of these. And there's a punchline in the blue box, as usual in the slides. Please wait till then. There are perfect answers to all these. Now, we don't have time to go into it. Okay, in this class. All right. Another one. Stealing. Is stealing good? He used to steal butter. Correct? Makhan Chor, he's famous. In Mahabharata, so many unfair means. Everybody asks. Bhishma, Drona, he asked Yudhishthir, who was the most truthful person. Usse bhi jhoot bulwa diya. He corrupted everybody who came in contact with him, got corrupted. To the extent even Yudhishthir got corrupted in his contact. Bad company. Krishna is bad company. Karna, when he was, unarmed. There are perfect answers to each of these. Read the Mahabharata and you will get the answers. In classes, and if you want, you can attend more of the classes that I do. Sometime or the other, you will get the answers. There are perfect answers to all of these. Now, okay, Krishna is a loose character guy. Let's talk about Purushottam, Maryada Purushottam Ram. Best father, best son, best king. He killed Vali from the back. Oh, he's also, Krishna had so many spots on a white sheet. Ram also had at least one or two black spots. Not as many as Krishna, but still black spots are there. Nobody, as they say, is a holy cow. All are corrupted, banishing Mother Sita for no good reason. These are some of the very standard points. And many other avatars. As Vaman Dev, he tricked Bali Maharaj. He said, just give me 3 steps of land. And in the 3 steps, he just conquered the whole universe itself. Such a trickster. Why you have, Aana hai to samne aao ekdam like a man. What is all this cheating? That's what we think. Are you following?
So how will we get to know this before this?
हाँ रुक जाइए अभी अब ब्लू बॉक्स को आने दीजिए. Everybody wants instant answers, instant gratification. Press the button and the answer should pop in my head. That's not how it works. So 2 approaches to resolving paradoxes. Just accept it first of all. Okay? Just accept it. A paradox should not lead to doubting the theory, isn't it? Correct? Or if you are so interested in resolving the paradox, go deeper into the theory or try to understand it, spend a lifetime and resolve the paradox. This is the difference between a paradox and a contradiction. Contradiction means it's unresolvable. 2 is not equal to 4. 2 plus 2 is not equal to 5. 2 और 2 5 नहीं होता, 2 और 2 4 होता है. That can never be resolved. 2 plus 2 equal to 5 mathematically. Go deeper and you will absolutely be resolved. The paradoxes. For me, none of these are paradoxes. None of these. All these bullets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it is a subject matter of many, many classes, not one. I mean, even in modern science, we have so many paradoxes. Newton's law and all is like child's physics. But if you go into higher physics, for example, relativity, are you aware there are so many paradoxes in relativity? There is this thing called if I can go back in time and kill my grandfather, then I would never be born now. So am I existing or am I not existing? That is a paradox of special relativity. In quantum mechanics, there's a paradox. You might have heard of this thing called the thought experiment called the Schrodinger's cat. Have you heard about it? It's a paradox. Is the cat alive or dead? You cannot simultaneously be alive or dead. It's full of paradoxes. But you trust and believe quantum mechanics and special relativity. Do you? Yes, otherwise you wouldn't be using GPS or your cell phones or any electronic equipments, nothing. They're all based on that theory. Stuff works. You're able to do WhatsApp with your mom and dad halfway around the world because of quantum mechanics. So you're using it and you never dare say it is wrong. But have you gone deeper and found out why it is right or wrong? How many of you are PhDs in quantum mechanics here? So that is point number 1. You have accepted it. The paradox if you may read you may see in some movie or you may read some popular science article and you see this Schrodinger's cat, but in your bones, this is just a paradox. We know there is a resolution because I have happily been using it for so many years. It cannot be wrong. Would you bet your life that the physics textbook is wrong or right? What would you say?
I won't bet.
No. Would you bet? Which side would you bet on? That it's right or it's wrong?
It's right.
It's right. Even though you have no knowledge of it. Like that, we should be able to bet on Bhagavad Gita. Or what do then people who are super curious, they also don't doubt, but maybe somebody has a doubt, let's say. What do? They go and obtain a PhD in physics and quantum mechanics and they figure it out. My son is doing, deep level physics. I don't know that much, but I'm very interested and he keeps telling me all the things and equations and he has convinced me about all these paradoxes, how the grandfather's paradox is resolved. There are perfect answers in physics. You cannot go back in time, kill your grandfather, and then you would never be born. So are you alive or are you dead? Can you prevent somebody from being born in the past? You cannot do the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing in that Terminator movie where he goes and kills his own past self and blah, 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 all that science fiction. So there are perfect answers to these paradoxes. How would you know? Go do a PhD and you will know. But the problem is we don't care to do either. We won't accept and we won't spend the time to figure it out. And then the only other outcome is to doubt. I'll just skip 2 slides here. That's exactly what I have said here. That's what Krishna says. They do not know, first of all, and they don't care to learn more. And the third and the easiest option is doubt. It's a bakwas hai. It's all humbug. It's a natural outcome. And it is perfectly possible to figure it out, but that takes time. That takes few books that you have to read. and you have to spend 5, 10, 15 years. How long it takes to get a PhD in physics? You have to start from arithmetic, geometry, algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, pre-calculus, calculus, high school, multivariable calculus, differential equations, blah, 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 blah. And then you get a PhD in quantum mechanics, correct? How many years that takes? How many years that takes?
3 years.
How many years that takes?
20. More than 10. More than 10.
10, 15 years. 3 years you can do from arithmetic to quantum mechanics?
No, I thought just PhD. I didn't understand the question.
Yeah. So why you think this should take 6 months? Okay, so we'll go back. All right, this is how you resolve a paradox. Is your question answered?
Yes. I was asking because there was also a quote like you should not never believe anything blindly, right? You should
Absolutely. No, you should not believe anything blindly.
Yeah, this makes it very clear. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that it is possible to believe it in 3 months.
Yeah.
No, there are some complex things which take time. If you really have that curiosity, then you invest the time.
Yeah.
And you will get perfect answers, 100% perfect answers. I'm telling you because I was curious. I went on that journey. I am an example where at least these doubts on this page are 100% resolved. 100%. Okay. Then 9.7 to 9.10. So this is a set of nice 4 verses. So 9.6, Lord Krishna gives an analogy of, the sky and the wind. So we'll move faster. We'll go over that later. 9.7 to 9.10, Lord Krishna is basically saying, I am the supreme controller. I am God. So this is the second instance or of very direct Krishna himself saying, I am God. Okay. So he says, I am the creator of the entire creation. Prakritim vrisajami punah punah. Vrisajami means I create again and again, because this material world is temporary. It's not everlasting. Okay. So creation happens again and again. Creation and destruction both. So punah punah vrisajami, I create again and again this entire prakriti. Okay. So he is the creator. He is the supreme controller as well. Maya adhyakshena. Adhyaksha. Adhyaksh means what?
Judge.
King.
Director. Director or, controller, director, whatever. So, Maya adhyakshena prakriti. I am this prakriti is being directed by under my supervision. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Suyate sacharacharam. I am the shelter. Shelter means the maintainer and protector. Shelter, right? Maintainer, protector of this entire creation. Prakritim swam avashtabhyah. This, I am the shelter of this prakriti, of this entire creation. And yet, all this is work. Would you say creation, protecting, is this work? Yes. Prabhuji, do you have to do work to provide for your family? Huh? So it's all work. But Krishna says this is not material work. Don't think I am doing all this creation and everything. So it's not like work for me, like karma. Okay. I do not get bound by it or its result. Na cha mam tani karmani nibadhnati. Nibadhnanti means bound. Na cha mam karma tani. With all this work, I do not get bound by it. So don't think it is like the ordinary karma that you do. You are doing karma, you get bound by it. We have studied that enough for so many chapters. Are you following? So I don't get bound. by this karma. Clear? Following? Now, the very nice analogy or very nice example is that of a king and the jail. Have I given that example before in this class? King visiting the jail. Okay. So just because the king is visiting the jail, which means he is in the boundary of the four walls of the jail, but typically who lives in the four walls of the jail? The prisoners, correct? But if the king is visiting the jail, or if the king is, let's say, getting the jail constructed and he is coming there to supervise, please come, no worries. So if the king is coming in the jail, it doesn't make him the prisoner. Okay, are you following? He may be just coming there to check things out, or maybe, do the construction, do as in not physically do, but sanction the construction or whatever. It may be like work, but he is not bound by it. He is above all this. Following? And then comes the next two very hard-hitting, the most hard-hitting verses of this chapter. There are more hard-hitting verses later also, but these are two very, very hard-hitting verses. But what happens to the faithless people, the doubters, the people who doubt? First of all, they don't know my supreme position. This is very, very, very important verse, both 10 and 11. Sorry, 11 and 12. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So, param bhavam ajananto. So they do not know these people who doubt me. And we have spent a lot of time discussing those people today in the class. They don't know. Param ajananto. Janati means to know. Ajanati means to not know. Param bhavam, my supreme nature. Param bhavam. Ajananto. Don't know that I am the mama bhuta maheshwaram. I am the Maha Ishwar, the Lord of all living entities. So they don't know. And they don't care to find out. Avajananti mam. Okay. So they don't do all that. What remains then in their brains or minds is doubts. That's a natural outcome. It's a very easy outcome. Ye sab bekar hai. It's all nonsense. Take a walk. Don't tell me all this. I'm happy where I am. You following? It's very easy. Doubt is the very, very, very easy thing to do. Easiest way out, easiest shortcut to give your mind relief. Mind is now, at peace. I know what is real. Mind is no longer troubled. And what is the other part of the outcome? Oh, Krishna is just an ordinary man. Just like me. Because I said nonsense. I keep BSing to everybody. Oh, I am this, I am that. Don't we all do that? Krishna is also doing that. He's just like me. I bullshit to others. He's also bullshitting. He's saying no. I do that every day. I keep saying nonsense. He's also keeps saying nonsense. He's just like me. He's human. Manushim tanum ashritam. I am Manushya. He is a Manushya. Why should I listen to him? He's not this God-shod thing. You following? Doubts. These are the doubts. And what does Krishna call such people? Look in your Bhagavad Gita. What does he call such people? Fools. Mudha. Idiots and fools. If I keep telling you, Mataji, you are living in America, You're supposed to stop at the stop sign. Stop sign, you have to stop. Nobody stops anywhere else, and these guys keep saying stop it, stop it. It's all clear. Why should I stop? Okay, one time you get caught. Then police leaves you at a warning. Repeatedly, no, you must stop, you must stop. Second time you get $100 ticket. Third time you get a $500 ticket. You still don't listen. What will they call you? What would somebody call you like if you're doing that? Tell me. There's no, would you feel compassion? Is there an element of compassion here? Huh? Is it? What is the natural like description that comes to such a person? Yeah. So it's not that Krishna doesn't give warnings. When you commit a sinful activity, first time and then he sends the message also through Bhagavad Gita, even through other people also who may not say I'm speaking Bhagavad Gita, but just simple things about God. God has said this, or don't do bad to other people. It will happen to you also one day. We don't listen. This is all nonsense. So you keep ignoring. What would you call such a person? Fool only, no? That's what Krishna is saying. And next verse is very, very hard hitting. He says that Mogha Asha, Mogha Karmano, Mogha Jnana Vichetasaha, Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohinim Shritaha. Such people, they are completely lost. What is lost? First of all, their grand hopes. Mogha Asha. Mogha means lost. Asha. Oh, Bhagavad Gita is all nonsense. I have my own plan. Remember, I created my own plan. Either a completely atheistic plan, or okay, I have manufactured my own little thing. Every Sunday I will go. I will put $11 in the donation box. I will do this, and I will come out. Everything, life is good. My monthly premium, insurance premium for a good life is $44. In $44 a month, I have purchased a happy, suffering-free life. Happy, suffering-free life insurance is not that cheap. Okay? That's a self-manufactured. And you have grand hopes. I have a great future. So what happens? Mogha Asha. Such hopes are dashed. Mogha Karmana, Mogha Jnana Vichetasaha. Their actions, their knowledge is all rendered useless. Whatever material, whatever knowledge they had, I will do my own stuff. Came out of some knowledge, and then they did some actions, and whatever. So one day it will all become meaningless, sooner or later. And what happens finally? Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva. They devolve gradually into a Rakshasi or a Asuric nature. Nobody is born a demon, or you may be born a demon from the womb of the demon's mother, but there is a history to it. No jiva is just born out of a demon. There is past karmic history. And then, because you are gradually devolving, yes, you may be born in a you may be just born with a demoniac mentality. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there's this example of this one king called Vena. Oh my God, such a bad guy. I constantly trying to weigh whether Hiranyakashipu is worse or Vena is worse. Like, is much less talked about. Hiranyakashipu is very famous for being a bad guy, but this guy is probably even worse. The one guy in Bhagavatam who gives serious competition to Hiranyakashipu. He was just born with a evil, like oozing poison. from all pores of his body. But there is history to it. So there's gradual devolvement into a asuric nature. In this life, things may seem fine because maybe some past good karma is getting used up. And you're misusing it. The past good karma should be used to get more good karma for the future. That is called dharma, artha, kama, dharma, artha, kama. Even if you're not making progress toward dharma, artha, kama, moksha, at least you should be in this cycle. But what happens? Ma gridha kasyas vidhanam. Remove the ma, kasyas vidhanam. I want everybody else's property. So that's where the cycle starts of devolution. I'm not satisfied with what is rightfully mine, so I will just usurp somebody else's property. And the cycle of sin starts. So gradually they devolve into demoniac life. Okay, you following? So Lord Krishna is giving the full spectrum here, the result. This is what will happen. You may not see it happening at this very moment. Life may seem good. For criminals, life may seem good temporarily. Oh, I drove past the stop sign. Now I'm at my destination 2.5 seconds sooner than I would have been. That's an accomplishment, 2 seconds. But in the long run, it is catastrophic. You might get hit one day. Okay. So now Krishna changes gear. So let's see if there are any. I'll pause here. There are no questions online. Any questions? So we'll spend some time on Q&A. We'll see. I want to give good amount of time for Q&A. Otherwise, my goal was to at least cover till the 15th verse. So we'll keep going forward. Yes.
So the previous slide, so he does state that I am not a material, my creation, purpose of creation and all is not material.
No,
So
that's
what
not
is-
no, that's not the meaning. I'll stop you right there. Ask the question. The question should have the facts right. So let me tell you, then you can rephrase your question.
Okay.
The creation is material, but when we do, you have read all the chapters before, when we are doing action, that is producing reaction. Okay. Action, our actions produce reaction, correct? Karma, the law of karma, correct?
Yeah.
That Krishna's actions is not that kind of material action.
I mean, creating the universe and all.
Correct.
It's not.
Krishna is not bound by that's not karma for Krishna. Okay.
If it is not that, then what is it?
What is it? It's just neutral. I didn't cover that bullet, but that's what he says in the next line to 9.9D. He says, or C and D. Udasinavad asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. So because God is doing those activities, he's not bound by it because he's God. So one should not think this is leading up to the point that one may think that Krishna is just like me, like a human. Oh, he's doing all this work, so he will also get one day bound. People send me all these, forwards from WhatsApp forwards, all this, has some interesting thing forward. Oh, Krishna, what was this? Because something I can't even remember. All this is just false nonsense. Because Rama abandoned Sita in the previous life, therefore something in next birth, Krishna got this reaction, something like because he did this in previous life, therefore this happened to Krishna in the next life, or something like that. Because something he did, therefore Ram had to suffer, his wife was kidnapped. I can't even remember all this. This is all nonsense. It's as if like God's actions are karma. Yes, if you abandon your wife for no good reason, one time, in some later, life, you might become the wife and your husband in that life will abandon you. That is law of karma. We cannot apply that to Krishna and Rama.
I recall one, I think, that in Ramayana that he abandoned Sita. So that's why in the next one, people say when he was coming as Krishna, Draupadi said, and Lakshmiji said to him that do not give me so much trouble in the next incarnation that you do. So Draupadi doesn't have that much. Instead, he has Radhaji.
Something like that, something.
I don't know.
But all this is just nonsense. It's just nonsense. That is the point. We should not think that Krishna or Rama is bound by karma like we are. That is the point he's trying to make. Because otherwise, we don't understand him. We think he's just human. And the fundamental point is, if he is human, why should we listen to him? Then the whole point of Bhagavad Gita is lost. Then this is no more than a ordinary book. And if this is an ordinary book, you might just as well go and save your time. Why is one sitting in the class? Why reading? Throw the Bhagavad Gita in the trash can. There are more nicer books to read, more fun. Go read Harry Potter or whatever else. More fun. Why? If this is not written by God, this book, there is absolutely no value in reading it. Okay. So that is the point being made. Are you understanding?
Yeah.
We get bound by karma, Krishna doesn't. Okay. And even Krishna's associates, yeah, that was the one point. Because I think Kaikeyi caused Ram to, or Kaushalya to not have the, for 14 years, she separated something, therefore Devaki was separated from Krishna, blah, 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 right from birth, and Yashoda was Kaushalya in the previous life, and Devaki was Kaikeyi. Where is all this coming from? All nonsense. As if, the activities of Kaikeyi and Kaushalya and Devaki are like material activities. No. Okay. We try to give it a spin. Oh, it's also it's routine. There's good learning. Don't be like Kaikeyi. Otherwise, you will suffer like Devaki in the next life. If that's the learning you're getting, then you're like getting this tiny learning of law of karma learning from these activities. There's so much more to learn. How to become like Devaki or Kaushalya or Kaikeyi, to have God as your son. That is what is to be learned. Not like, don't deprive others to be from your son, otherwise next life somebody else will deprive you of the love of your son. If that's what you're getting, then you're mudha. The thing to be gotten from those things is how to be such a great bhakta so that the Lord takes birth as your son. It's a very great position to be the father or mother of God. That is the main thing to be learned from there. The Vatsalya Bhava. Okay? All right. So we'll proceed forward. Anything else?
Actually, I had a question. My hand was raised online.
Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
I'm just kind of still stuck at for me, myself, I don't have a problem dealing with this concept of the black swan, or to deal with the fact that there are things that I don't know that I don't know. I can move on from that. And I don't seem to have this problem, and I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I find that I meet so many other people who, as it says here, that are lured by demonic forces or atheist forces, because they cannot. It's like they cannot seem to move past that, and they are just stuck. And I feel so bad because I almost feel like it's not something that's great about me or anything. I don't know how to help them to stop being so foolish. How can I help them to move past this thing?
Well, the first thing is to help yourself. Okay, so first one should try to become very, very fixed in this understanding and practice at a very personal level. Srila Prabhupada, who has written the commentaries and the translation, says charity begins at home. So first one should, before you try to help others, first help yourself. First build that conviction in your bones, yourself, and then after some time, we can discuss how to, on this matter of God, how to help others. The first person to help would be yourself. And not just theoretically, practice as well. Because really, the help is very action-oriented. Nobody can help somebody with words. You go to the doctor and the doctor just says some nice words, unless you're talking to a psychiatrist. But other than that, all doctors have to do some activity. Either they give you a medicine or they do some surgery or something. So it's action oriented. So practice is very important. Even psychiatry is practice. Okay. So application is extremely important. And without that, one should not try to go around and tell others what to do. One would commit great blunders, not only for yourself, but for other people. So if you genuinely one cares about them, one should apply it, get some personal realizations or learnings from it, and then go share with others. But still, if one is very curious to share it with others, one can just share pointers very genuinely, saying that, I am reading this book, which seems to be very nice. I am just beginning, or I have been reading it recently or whatever. Looks pretty good. I am yet to fully practice it or, put it into practice. But hey, if you want to try it, that would be great. So with that utmost honesty and humility, in a gentle way, you can share a pointer. But one shouldn't try to be a teacher. I'll tell you all the details without themselves having gone through it, both the theory and the practice. Like to become a doctor where you're dealing with other people's lives. Okay. You have to not only do a lot of theory, you also have to do practice. You have to do 1 or 2 years of residency or this or that. Then they let you, come near real life patients. Otherwise they won't. Isn't it? So does that help answer your question?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Because I'm just sometimes just looking and feeling like, oh, I feel so bad, but I will just keep focusing and, like you said, just giving pointers. Yeah.
Yes, that's very compassionate. Some people are by nature very compassionate towards others, which is very nice. If you see people dying on the street, let's say because of, whatever, COVID or whatever, you may see some fire and so many, I have 2 small, not small, I mean, they're teenage children. I'll give a very practical example. that they do all these science projects, right? Children do science projects in their school, and they go into some competitions, some science fairs, and they get first prize or some whatever things. I have heard so many times from these children who have done some really whatever at their level good work, and they say, my grandmother or my mother had cancer and she died of cancer, and that motivated me to that's the spirit. You care about a certain thing, you care about a certain cause, but it's not like you want to now start overnight solutions. Make a determination. It's very good to care about a cause. Many people, 90% of the people don't even care. They don't even have a cause. The only cause is eat, drink, and be merry, many times at the cost of other people. That is the modern mantra of the day, isn't it? So it's very good to be someone who has a cause, a genuine human cause. But that is not enough. If you want to do something about it, walk on a journey or a path to get some fulfillment in that cause by trying to address it or solve it. And the larger the problem, the longer typically it will take to solve it. Mahatma Gandhi, saw a problem. How many years did it take him to solve it? 30, 40 years. A person's greatness is defined by the size of the problem he takes on. Okay, so it's very good to have a cause. One should consider oneself fortunate that you found a cause. That itself is half the problem solved. Otherwise, people are living purposeless lives. Big seminars, thousands of dollars people attend. How to find the purpose of my life? Okay, then that means they have the first step itself is not accomplished. What is the purpose of my life? The cause for which I can feel happy at my time of death, that my life was worth living. Once one has found it, it takes time to travel on that path. Travel on it. Okay. These are not great problems, need great investment of effort and time, energy, everything. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So we were here. And it looks like I have lost my next slide. 8.8, what happened? One sec. Let me see, where is my... Some of my slides got... Anyway, I'm not going to spend time on trying to find the slide. So I will simply let us continue with the discussion. One second. So, everybody clear about 9.11 and 9.12? What happens to these people, these kind of people who think that Krishna is just human or God is just human, he's just like me, then there is no point. Okay. Now, on the flip side, now Krishna begins to describe, so this is a big quantum jump into the other side of the spectrum. Krishna just wants to give a contrast of the pure devotee. Remember, this chapter is about Shuddha Bhakti. So what does, in contrast, so enough talking about all the people who are doubters or faithless. How does a pure devotee look like? A Shuddha Bhakta. And that is who we should try to become. And how to become also will be explained. So 13th and 14th verses are arguably two of the very, I wouldn't say the most, but one of the top 5 verses of this chapter, 9th chapter. So 13 and 14. 13 is describing the internal state, internal mindset of a pure devotee, of a Shuddha Bhakta. And 14 is describing the external characteristics of a Shuddha Bhakta. So let us see that. Very, very, very important verses. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. So let us go into each line and each Mahatma. These devotees are called Mahatmas. Okay, this is the Vedic meaning of Mahatma, not the modern meaning of Mahatma where we give away the title of Mahatma to everyone. Aap to Mahatma hai. Now Mahatma Gandhi is a great person, but it has become even more diluted ever since. And Mahatma Gandhi was definitely a very good bhakta of Lord Ram. And we could all see, at least so many people were witness when he died. He was surrounded by people. He was going in this big procession when he was assassinated. And his last words were what? Hey Ram. Isn't it? So, mission accomplished. That was, I don't know whether he said it or not, but getting independence for India is probably becomes a much tinier accomplishment of life. That is a far bigger accomplishment in life, that he was able to remember Lord Ram at the end of his life. That is what he should be glorified for more. But that was his private practice. His external activity was more about all this political independence and all this stuff. Okay. So his private practice in his own heart obviously would have been very strong, but it's not mentioned that much in history books. Do you know Mahatma Gandhi as a great devotee? Is that what is publicized about him in history books? No. But at least he was able to hit the sixer on the last ball of the last match. Correct? So pretty good. Very good. So Mahatmanas tumam partha. So Partha means Arjuna. Mahatman. These Mahatmas, again, I'm not picking on Mahatma Gandhi. He was a great devotee of Lord Ram. But there are here Mahatma in the Vedic sense means all the pure devotees. Shuddha Bhakta. Mam, of me, Krishna says, Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. They take shelter, Ashraya. If you see the previous verse, what is the previous verse saying? Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohinim Ashrita. So I'll just skip some words and read it. Rakshasim Prakritim Ashrita. Do you see that? I skipped some words to make it simple. But do you see that sequence? Rakshasim Prakritim Ashrita. Here, Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. Do you see those words? What is the difference between these two phrases? One is Rakshasim Prakritim Ashrita, one is Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. Completely opposite. So those people, they take shelter of the Rakshasi mentality. These people take shelter of my kind of mentality, the pure mentality, Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. Both are Krishna's energy. Prakriti, everything comes from Krishna, good and bad. We have discussed this earlier also. Everything comes from Krishna. Even the bad things come from Krishna. Okay. So, Daivim Prakritim Ashrita, they take shelter of my pure, the pure side of material nature. The completely devotional side, the bhakti side of nature. And what do they do in their mind? Manaso. Bhajanti ananya manaso. So bhajanti ananya manaso. In their mind, this verse is all about their internal consciousness of a Shuddha Bhakta. In their mind, they are always thinking about me. Bhajan, doing bhajan means doing all the activities of bhakti. Bhajan doesn't mean just taking a musical instrument and singing bhajan like Anup Jalota bhajan on YouTube. Not that. That is just one small aspect of bhajan. But with full mind, now we don't know whether Anup Jalota is singing with Ananya Manaso. He may be thinking, oh, if I do more nice, then I'll get more money, I'll get more whatever. I don't know that what is in the mind. Very important it is what's in the mind. And maybe he does, I don't know. But the point is Ananya Manaso. And Ananya, this word also we have discussed earlier. One pointed attention to me. Bhajanti, doing my bhajan with Ananya mind, Manaso. Mind fully focused. When one is doing bhajan, one is not focusing on anything else but my bhajan. And he knows in his bones, Gyatva. Remember Gyatva? Knowing, just not knowing theoretically, but knowing with full conviction. Gyatva, Bhuta Adim Avyayam. That I am eternal. I am the Supreme Lord. Okay? So they know this. Everything is internal. This is the internal consciousness of my pure devotee. Okay? And external consciousness, or the external, not consciousness. Consciousness is internal. External activity, 9.14. External activity is Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Satatam means always. Always doing my kirtan. Always. And kirtan again doesn't mean musical. Anything is kirtan. Speaking about Krishna just in plain English or your own mother tongue, whatever. Or anything related to Krishna or Bhagavan or his devotees. Anything. Somebody will say, what about Hanumanji? Included. Okay, Krishna or his devotees or anything related to Krishna is all kirtan. Doing it always, satatam. Satatam means always. Satatam kirtayanto mam. And how? Even though one is full of love, yatantascha dridhavrata, with dridhavrat, which means like with determination, like a vow almost, vrata, with a vow. That means there is active effort also, and that happens more in the sort of beginning stages. Then it becomes natural. It becomes one's nature. Not only second nature, we say it becomes second nature. What is the first nature? I've never figured out. When it says second nature means what? What is first? It becomes the nature. You have to try very hard to make him do something else. Like it's very hard for you right now to think of Krishna because we want to think about everything else. It becomes the complete opposite in their case. So dridhavrata. So for the beginners, there has to be some determination. Oh, I have to do it. Okay. So every day. So satatam means all the time. All the time. There was a nice devotee who was visiting us, Hari Parshad Prabhu. I could see whenever he was just walking around, he was reciting verses. Like somebody in India or like me many years ago, one sings Bollywood songs, like when you have nothing else to do while climbing the stair, going, he would recite verses. Then we think, oh, how he remembers all these verses. He was just reciting like, just like a song he was reciting. He was reciting, I can recite many Bhagavad Gita verses, but he was reciting all these other ones. That was his like, that is Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. And his expertise is all this Shastric knowledge and everything. But so many great devotees, they could just be remembering Krishna, like Yashoda Maya. She's not a Shastric person like Uddhava or, somebody else. But she's always just singing about Krishna, Mera Krishna, my Krishna. Or Mirabai, or so many other great devotees. Mere to Madan Gopal. What is that song? dusro no koi. They were not Shastrik. So it's not just about verses, it's just about some kirtan. Not even musical, even, speaking about Krishna to others as a class or as anything. Just taking his name, doing your japa. Okay. So, and in the beginning, it takes some, and then namasyantascha mam bhaktya, and doing some worship, bowing down before me. Also, again, in the beginning stages. In the later stages, it is natural. One always considers himself to be a servant. God is great. I am small. My duty is to serve him. Again, servant doesn't mean a slave. Servant means out of love. Think of anytime this doubt comes, servant means slave. Think of Hanuman. Would you call Hanuman a slave of Ram from whatever you know? Not, isn't it? Or a mother. Does mother serve the child? But is mother slave? No. So there is that service out of love. Okay. So namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta. Again, this word is nitya and satatam. This is the only verse where this always is coming 2 times. Satatam means always, nitya means always. Nitya yukta upasate. Like this, always by doing namasyantascha, one is engaged in upasana. Upasana means some kind of offering. Some kind of offering, some kind of worship, some kind of connection in some form with God. Our Shastras describe there are 5 ways to interact with God. Madhurya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Dasya, and Shanta. And there are great descriptions are available later on. Madhurya means as a lover or as a, like Lakshmi ji or Mother Sita or Radha or Rukmini and so many others. Okay. Or Mirabai in the Madhurya, And Vatsalya means as a parent. Kaushalya, Dasharath, Yashoda, Vasudeva, Devaki, Nanda, Maharaj, all these. Then Sakhya. Sakhya means as a friend. Kindly mute yourself. That's what happens behind a black screen. When camera is off. That's why I said keep camera on. Then you have some pressure. Okay. So what was I saying? Yeah, Vatsalya, Sakhya, as a friend. Krishna had so many friends. Arjuna is a friend and so many other friends. And then Dasya, so many, in the mood of a Dasya like Hanumanji. And Shanta means a lot of other devotees who are not there. That is generally for those who are limited to the impersonal conception of Bhagavan. That Bhagavan is just, a great supreme authority, but not as a personal connection. So just like, okay, I submit to the supreme authority, the Brahman conception. Remember we talked about Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Okay. Like, no direct connection with Bhagavan, but government is good. I will just follow the rules of the government. I submit to the government, I'll pay my taxes, everything, but I don't care who is the president or who is running the government, not my department. I will be the best citizen of the country. Okay. So these are the 2 verses which are very, very important. And then 9.15 is talking about the journey from the demoniac to the pure devotee. That's what we want, right? Now, nobody is in that. Is anybody a Rakshasa here? Hopefully not. Correct? Is anybody a Shuddha Bhakta like 13 and 14? Probably not. So what does that tell us? We are neither here, we are neither here. So where are we? Somewhere in between. So the two extremes have been described. Correct? So we are, most people, 99.99% people are somewhere in between. 9.15 is describing those in between. And how to progress from wherever you are. In which direction? This side or this side? Which side do you want to go? To the Shuddha Bhakta side. Okay? So, Jnana yagyena chapyena yajanto mam upasate ekatvena prithaktvena bahudha vishvato mukham. So, others who engage in sacrifice by cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as ekatvena, one without a second, prithaktvena bahudha, as diverse in many, vishvato mukham, and in the universal form. So there are these three categories, broad categories that are divided, that this middle section, there are those in one end of the spectrum, other end of the spectrum. Are you following? Then in the middle, there are these three broad categories that are described. Ekatvena, prithaktvena, bahudha, and vishvato mukham. And Lord Krishna will speak a little bit about each of these categories in the next several verses. So what are these categories? Ekatvena. Ekatvena means those who consider the Lord to be the nothing else but Brahman. So basically those impersonalists who are in the Shantaras. So they consider God as this impersonal light. So they don't have the full understanding of Bhagavan. Are you following? Now we have covered these concepts of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan in previous classes. Those who are not familiar should go and review the previous lessons. Prithaktvena bahudha. Prithaktvena bahudha is referring to all those who are worshipping the various devis and devatas. Bahudha, so many. Prithaktvena means different. Prithak means different. Different, various devis and devatas they are worshipping. And in many cases, considering no difference between them and Krishna. Oh, doesn't matter. They're all one and the same. How many of you in the room had that kind of conception? Whether you worship this Devi or Devata or Krishna, they're all, different. They're all one and the same. It's all one. Same. Whether you do this, all roads lead to the same destination. Not true. We covered that in 7th chapter. They may lead you towards that destination, but they don't lead you to that destination. Like if you're starting, if you know the geography, you'll take America. If you start in a flight, I think we gave this example, from Portland, you want to go to New York, which is in a better direction to New York. You go from Portland to Chicago, or you go from Portland to Houston, which is in the right direction? Chicago, isn't it? It's direct straight line. Or let's say if you were living in Denver, going to Chicago is better than coming to Portland. You're going in the opposite direction, even worse. So if you take a flight from Denver to Chicago, it doesn't mean that you're taking a flight to New York, but you're going towards New York, but you still have to change the plane. And yes, you have made progress. No doubt you have made progress. Taking a direct flight from Denver to New York would have taken 4 hours. Now you have cut 2 hours from that. So you're going in the right direction, but you still have to, it's not like all flights lead to New York. No. Okay. Some may be going in the right direction. Some may be going in the perpendicular direction. And some may be going in the completely opposite direction. So that is prithaktvena bahudha. We should not consider that all roads lead to the same destination. And vishvato mukham. Vishvato mukham means those who are worshipping just Mother Nature. This Vishwato Mukham is universal form, Vishwarupa, which will be described in great detail in chapter 11. Okay. So there are many people like this. They may not know that they are worshipping the universal form, but that is the best and greatest thing they see around them with their naked eyes, with the material vision. Even to worship Devi Devata, you have to have some faith. Same problem comes about faith. Oh, why should I worship this Devi Devata? Why? What? Or Brahman is even harder. What is this Brahman, this superior authority? Who is the superior authority? I have never seen any superior authority. My body is just a mass of cells made of, some organic material. My mind is also, some everything material. Everything is material. What is the superior authority? Spiritual authority, Brahman. Brahman is spiritual. It's still completely spiritual. So there is no faith in that. There is no faith in the demigods or the devis and devatas. But yes, this nature is great. I can see it with my eyes. Oh my God, such vast creation, mind-boggling. You look through your telescopes, you look through the microscopes, you see so much organization, so much complexity. Our minds cannot fathom this complexity of nature, can it? All the scientists and everybody, they are just, this quantum mechanics also is so complex. One of the biggest professors of quantum mechanics, I was seeing a video, he has spent his whole life in quantum mechanics. He says, I'm quoting him, if anybody says he fully understands quantum mechanics, don't believe him. Even I don't understand quantum mechanics fully. And he's the world's most renowned professor of quantum mechanics. It's like so complex. Yes, we know how to solve equations. We know how to make it work for our benefit. But really to know what it is, I mean, damn it. Forget quantum mechanics. We don't even know today whether light is a particle or a wave. The Young's double slit experiment, which was done in almost more than 100 years ago, till today, it has no resolution. I have a very, very good friend, devotee. He is a professor of quantum optics. What better person to know about Young's double slit experiment than a professor of physics? He's a professor of physics at IIT Kanpur. I asked him, Prabhuji, is there like any movement in the direction? Literally, I asked him, in the direction of which side is it? Is light a particle or a wave? Like that's the fundamental thing that the Young's double slit experiment sort of revealed, isn't it? Are you familiar with Young's double slit? If you just shine light through two slits, it forms an interference pattern, shows that it's a wave. But then if you send it photon by photon, it still shows the interference pattern, even though you're sending it photon by photon. Wait a minute, what? How does one photon know whether the other photon will be sent or not? Which slit it will come through? Mind-boggling. He said to me, we have zero movement in that direction. We are equally clueless as we were 100 years ago. Professor of physics of quantum optics at IIT Kanpur. So that is the level of complexity of nature. And such people are in awe. Oh my God, this nature is complex. I want to, understand it. This is bigger than my mind. So they begin to worship. At some level, there is some awe and reverence that this is great. I cannot figure it out. The ego is still there. One day I will figure it out. But as of today, I can't figure it out. This is too good. They are all, even though they may not say that I am a Vishwarupa worshipper, but that is the mood of a Vishwarupa worshipper or a Vishwato Mukham. He submits to the grandioseness, to the grandeur of material nature. Are you following? So whoever is in complete awe of material nature may not be in these very words or with that consciousness of Sanskrit or this sort of Vedic understanding, but he is a Vishwatomukham worshipper. These are the three categories, broad categories, and then there are several subcategories. Are you following? Okay, it is 6:57. So the next several verses, which we will continue next time, from 16, 17, 18, 19, these four verses are describing the Vishwatomukham worshipper. Okay. Aham kratur, aham yagya, swadhaham, aham aushadham, mantro aham, aham avagyam, aham agnir, aham hutam. So even aham aushadham, aushadh means what? Medicine. How do you know how medicines are made? COVID vaccine, big medicine, right? Everybody had a sigh of relief when vaccine came. You know how vaccines are made? In one word, if you have to describe the true breakthrough, what is it? I'll tell you. Trial and error. Partly it is trial and error. You have the COVID virus, you attack it with some molecule, you see that it survives. You know some characteristics about it, so there is science to it, but then you modify, you make some modification, you attack it, you see if it kills it or it resists or whatever. I'm not a doctor. Then you'd make some random, you keep trying, and some point this works best. And there are so many little variations and all, so the vaccine has to work on all those, whatever science, but there is some trial and error. My point is, even those who make the vaccines do not have full knowledge why this exact molecule works on that virus. It just works. They have done enough, they have enough statistical data that it works. And of course, then you have to do human trials and other trials to make sure it doesn't end up harming the good cells or the good part of body. Otherwise, the best way to kill the virus is to shoot the person. Kill the man, kill the virus, Some movies, it's there, no? Some virus is there. I've seen some long back, I saw some movie, they just bombarded the whole city. Everybody died and the virus died. But that's not what we want in the vaccine, isn't it? So there are many aspects, but so my point is, they don't know how the virus works, but it works. Then say, wow, this is so good, somehow it works. That the scientists are like in awe of nature, how this works in that case. That is, who is the real person at work in that case? Aham aushadham. I am the medicine. So somebody will say, wow, nature is great. Nature has given us this special molecule which can work against this type of cell. So they are like the worshippers of, are you following? So that's what Krishna is saying in all these cases. There are many examples that are given. I like this one very much. Aham aushadham. Okay. So they may not know it, but they are submitting to a higher authority. So that is universal form, or Vishwatomukham, or Vishwarupa form, which will be covered in more detail in chapter 11. Okay. So we'll stop here. We'll start from 16 next time, but this is going into that direction. Then the next few verses will be about devis and devatas and so on. And then we will come to the last portion of Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, which is Shuddha Bhakti. So that's how this chapter will progress. I don't know where my slides went. Probably I got mixed up. Any questions? Can you please share screen? No, I didn't have those slides. So you didn't miss anything because nothing was shared. So, okay. Are there any questions? Okay, if no questions, then we will adjourn here. Thank you very much for attending. For those who are, oh, you have a question? Yes, okay, go ahead.
So in verse number 15, is Krishna basically differentiating between atheists and non-atheists, right? Because he's putting all sorts of believers together. So people who believe in his form, in the universal form, and diverse gods, right? Is he saying that just two categories of living beings?
So ultimately, by the time I didn't fully get your question. Let me see if this answers your question. By the time we come to the 15th verse, okay, we now have sort of 5 categories. On one end is the complete demons. You can call them atheists, or in some cases, even criminal atheists who are basically going in the opposite direction. They're devolving. Okay. Atheist may be also a one who has no belief in God, but is living a moral life, dharma, artha, kama, and he's living a reasonably happy life, but he has no belief in God. That is where I would say atheist come. These people on the even more this side, I would call, and there's another word, anti-theist. Theist means God or anything related to God. Atheist means I have nothing to do with God. It's agnostic. And anti-theist means I'm anti-God. So what 9.11 and 9.12 is describing is that it starts with atheism, but typically it devolves. Atheism devolves into anti-theism, typically. So we have 5 categories in all. So demons, somewhere in between there'll be atheists, more closer to this side. And then on this side are the pure devotees. And in between these, there are some kind of believers, some level of believers. Now the question is, what do they believe in? They believe in some higher authority than themselves. So they are better because the demons think they are the highest authority. I know it all. I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. I have my own success formula and I will live by it. That is the Rama mentality. I know what I need to do. If so many people tried to tell him, please desist. You will get killed, you will get us killed. That's what happened. What did he say? Shut up and do what I'm telling. Otherwise, I will kill you. Then they all said, better to get killed by Lord Ram than getting killed by you. So they went along with the plan. So that is that Rama mentality who say, I know it all. I don't need to submit to anybody. You need to submit to me. Then there are the 3 categories who submit to someone else. They think they don't consider them. I am the boss. There is some boss above, whether it is Brahman or Devi Devatas or this grandioseness of material nature. And then the 3rd category, or on the rightmost side, is Bhagavan. Clear? Now, within these, Bhakta who submits to Bhagavan as the highest. Yeah. Okay. Now, within these 3, who is higher and lower, that is not clearly specified in the verse. Srila Prabhupada in the commentary gives a sort of a ranking.
So this verse basically covers a broad section of humanity. Basically.
Yes, it not broad, 100% section. You have to find out where you are, or we need to find out where we are. Like I said, we are not definitely here. Most likely, nobody is a pure demon here. Nobody is a pure devotee here, probably. So we are somewhere in the middle. Okay. Maybe there may be an atheist category here, which is not like directly mentioned, but it's somewhere there. Okay. Does that answer your?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, I don't see any other questions. I don't see any hands raised. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Meet in, most likely we'll meet in 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we won't have next 2 classes, most likely, but please watch out for the announcements. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.